Andy Sullivan from Blue Collar Corner. I'm here with Tommy Kadad. Tommy was a first responder and a survivor of the 9/11 attacks. He was on the fire department. Tommy, why don't you give us a quick little synopsis of what happened on that horrible day on 9/11?
Well, I was actually a police officer at the time. We got called down to the scene. We were probably one of the first people to respond down there. We had a muster point for the police department. They gave us out a slip to tell us where to hold down the spot.
What was that term you used? The what?
A muster point. That's where a group of police officers go to get their assignments for the day or whatever they're doing.
Oh, okay.
So we actually went down, and it was right by Water Street, right by Pier 17.
I know.
There was one cop car there that was handing out slips to other police officers that came down, and we were actually handed a slip that told us to occupy the stock market, right outside the front door of the stock market. That's where we were.
And
that was our post.
That was your post. Now, did this whole thing occur after the first plane hit?
No, yeah. Both planes had already hit, but the buildings have not come down yet.
Okay.
So we're already at the scene,
right,
which is only a block or two away from the World Trade Center, which is Wall Street.
Right.
So our post at that point was to make sure everybody went down towards the water and away from the buildings. People were we obviously knew that the World Trade Center, or we were under attack. So we were trying to keep people from going into the stock market and just out of that immediate area, which there are some crazy Wall Street people and stockbrokers that were trying to go back into the building knowing that we're under attack, and they didn't care. They just wanted to go
make the last trade.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. It was crazy what these people were thinking. But we were standing there, we were telling people to move, and all of a sudden we heard the rumbling. We thought it was another plane, because down on Wall Street, you can't look up and see the World Trade Center.
No, you cannot.
You can't see the building.
You're in a cavern of very tall buildings. You're blocked on every side.
You have to be outside the area to see the World Trade Center. So,
okay, you hear the rumblings. What do you do?
We didn't know what to do. We thought it was another plane coming.
No communication? Was communication down by this stage?
No. Communication was still going. But it was rampant communication. There was a lot of
traffic.
Yeah, very much. On the Wall Street block, there's a block that's off-center.
Okay.
It's not like you could see down a couple of blocks. It's one block that's just off-center. So after we heard the rumbling, we looked up the block and we saw the plume of smoke come right at us.
Now, were you there? So you were there for that gray wall?
Yes.
Come charging down.
Yeah.
Every which avenue.
Yeah. So there is across the street from the stock market is J.P. Morgan.
Right.
So I mean, daylight turned to darkness in a second.
Right.
That plume of smoke it went black in a second.
It did. It blacked out the entire sun.
Blacked out the whole sun.
It was a gorgeous morning that morning, and
beautiful.
It was as if it just turned night.
Yeah. So we actually found our way over to the building wall, and we went inside the lobby of J.P. Morgan.
Okay.
And there was 8 of us all together, 1 sergeant and 7 cops. Actually, 8 cops and 1 sergeant. Everybody ran their own way.
Right.
A couple people went into the stock market. A couple people went into the building on the corner. I happened to go into J.P. Morgan with another police officer that I was with.
Right.
So.
Was that your partner, Tommy?
We all went together, 8 of us from the precinct.
Okay, so it was just a random group that you were thrown together?
8 people that volunteered to go to the city actually went with 1 sergeant, and that was it. Okay. So the one guy that ran the same way I went, he ran into the J.P. Morgan building, he had a whistle.
Right.
So you couldn't see people, you can hear people screaming or whatever, so we blew the whistle. There'd be about 100 people that came to us.
Got it.
That listened to the sound of the whistle, came into the building.
They came into the building for shelter.
For shelter, sure.
Because you didn't know what was going on next.
Didn't know what was going on.
Okay, take me from there now. J.P. Morgan Chase, the gray cloud, what happens next?
It lightened up a little bit. We all came back out. The 8 of us that we were together, it was actually Sergeant 8 cops. There was only 7 cops. We were making our way towards the World Trade Center. We were going up the block to see what the hell happened.
Right.
Because we realized that it collapsed. As we were walking towards the World Trade Center, we realized we were missing 1 cop.
Oh boy.
1 cop, we don't know where he is. We checked the 4 buildings that were on the corners of those places, had no idea where he was. So instead of going to the World Trade Center, we decided to look for him.
Right.
During the time we were looking for him, which you really couldn't see anyway, the next building came down. Same scenario. Went back into the J.P. Morgan building, covered with smoke.
Total blackout.
Total blackout again. After that kind of settled down and you were able to see just a little bit.
Right.
The same group of guys met up again. We decided to go to there was a muster point right where we got our slip.
Right.
The beginning, the slip to go where we were supposed to go.
So you returned back to your muster point?
To the muster point, yeah.
Okay.
Which they had a whatchamacallit station set up, a decontamination center set up already.
Now, hold on. Now, you're saying they had a decontamination center already set up,
right,
even before the towers came down?
No. They must have set it up while the towers came down.
Oh, so somebody had the presence of mind to set up a decontamination center just after the towers came down?
Just after the cannon. Right, that's a muster point. Big.
That's pretty amazing that they did that.
That was the police. It wasn't like this crazy decontamination center that was,
just a rudimentary
water coming from both sides to wash you down, because if you had that stuff put on you, they didn't want you to be contaminated. So
okay,
we decided to go back there after, I don't know how long it was, might have been an hour or so, maybe 2 hours. We were looking for this guy, trying to call him on the road, so could not find him. We go back to the muster point. We try to get decontaminated. This guy is the first one on the list because you had to sign in.
Yes.
He's the number one. He ran. His name is I'll think of his name, but he ran from when the first tower collapsed back to the muster point, which isn't that far. Pier 17 isn't that far from Wall Street.
No,
it's not that far.
It's a quick run.
He ran back to the decontamination one, and he was the first one on the list, so we knew he was all right.
Okay, so what did he do? He ran back. He got spooked. He ran back.
Yeah, the cloud came, covered him, and he ran towards his muster point.
Got it.
He just
okay, so you knew he was okay. Now what do you do?
We decided we wanted to go back to the World Trade Center. By this time, there had to be I don't know how many cops were at this muster point, but the chiefs were not letting anybody that came late to go over to the World Trade Center. They stayed there.
Why?
I don't know the reason why. But we were the only ones at the decontamination center that was covered with all this soot,
the ash,
and we had a van with us, so we drove the van back. That was that much on top of the roof, piled up with soot, and we drove through this crowd of police officers that had no idea what's going on because they're about a mile away. They can see everything, but they don't really know the effect that's going on. And we drove through them, and they were like, "What the fuck?" They had no clue what was going on.
Right.
So we got decontaminated a little bit, and we were sitting around, and the chiefs were telling nobody to go back to the World Trade Center. We're gonna put people over there as we see fit,
right,
or whatever the case may be.
Did you run into any other Port Authority, fire department, EMS?
Well, what happened was when they told us that we couldn't go back, we jumped in the van and went back. Obviously, disobeyed the order, but we went back because we knew what was happening. We were already there.
Right.
So we went on to the pile, firemen all over the place, everybody's all over the place. They put us inside of the Marriott building, I'm not sure if it was the Marriott building or whatever, as a post to watch the dead bodies, a makeshift morgue in the bottom building. I think the first floor of the Marriott building, I'm not sure if that was the building. But that building was on fire. Like the 7th floor had a fire in it, so they kind of let that go.
Was it the Millennium? The Millennium Hotel?
Might have been the Millennium. I'm not quite sure what.
Because that's the one on Church Street. That would be
right across. It was a makeshift
right
morgue. They were making that as a makeshift morgue. The first floor of the building.
That's what I remember. I remember the Millennium Hotel there.
They realized that the top floors were on fire, so they kind of got rid of that. And we told the boss that we were with. Said we don't want to be in charge of no makeshift morgue. That's not what we came down here to do. Let somebody else do that.
Right.
So we kind of just lingered around, helped out people, did whatever we could I had to be there for 20 hours.
20 hours straight.
20 hours first day straight. From 8 in the morning, we got there at about 10 after 8. From right after the second plane hit, we got there.
Right.
Whatever time that was, 9 o'clock.
Tommy, I've known you a long time, and I could almost tell it by the way you speak. You sound like you're experiencing some kind of respiratory ailment.
Yeah.
Was this a result of the events of that day?
While I was a cop, I had taken my physical to become a fireman. Before 9/11, it was probably about June or something like that, I took my physical. I passed all my tests with the breathing apparatus, with everything that required to become a fireman, I passed with flying colors.
Right.
after 9/11, obviously 343 firemen died, 341. They were putting classes in left and right. So when I went into the fire department, which was in January of '02, which is 3 months later, they weren't giving physicals. They were just trying to rush people in
to rebuild the force.
To rebuild the force. And I only took my medical a month early or 2 months early, and I was fine. But as the years go on in the fire department, you have to take physical every year. Every year, it got worse and worse and worse until they just said, you can't. That's it, you're done. There's no lawyer, there's nobody that you can get that's going to... Because I tried to fight it, I didn't want to leave the fire department. Great job.
Right.
You know, the great job.
Now, Tom, let me ask you now, today, especially with the Zadroga bill, you know, this is a bill they've been kicking around in Congress for the last 6-7 years. It started out somewhere between 7 and 8 billion. Now they chiseled it down to somewhere under 3. Right. It's like 2.4 billion. And now they even made another stipulation where no form of cancer is being blamed on the effects of that day. A Dr. Harbour, I believe, said he saw no correlation between the elements that were running around in the sky and being burned that day and any form of cancer. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I forget the lady's name who said the air quality down there was great.
Christie Whitman.
Christie Whitman. I mean, for her to say the air quality is horrible at that point, nobody would have been working down there. We probably would have still been down there anyway, but if you tell somebody the air quality is poisonous and it's not good for you, there would have been nobody down there doing the work.
Well, the EPA did deem the area free of any kind of contagion.
Right, eventually, but it was still, the contaminants obviously show in other people that are being, that are sick now and have been sick for the past 10 years with the asthma and, pulmonary, their pulmonary stuff. I can't see how they're pulling money away from people that helped.
Me personally, I think they're waiting for everybody to die off, and then they'll just take the money, and between the lawyers and the politicians, it just seems like one giant slush fund to try and feed the public a bunch of bull.
Right. It's not a good thing, what they're doing, you know what I mean?
I do. Tommy, how do you feel about Bloomberg with the 10-year anniversary coming up? Mayor Bloomberg said he's not inviting any first responders or survivors to this event. And between him and Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey, it seems like they're having one of their little PR elitist party. How does that make you feel?
I mean, it sucks that no responders can go down there, especially people that were on the pile working for so long. On the other hand, there were a lot of people that died. The people, their families should be down there, which probably is going to take more room than anybody, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that big of a place. You can't have 100,000 people down there. Which, if you said anybody can come, there'd probably be 2 million people down there.
That's true. Know what I mean? That's true. But you know what? I just ran into, and it's funny because this all happened.
Who do you let in? Who do you let in the people that helped, or the family members that lost loved ones?
True. But I just want to make a point. I was speaking to Jimmy Ritchie's. You know him?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I ran into him at the bagel store. He said, you know something? If they just hung around till 12 o'clock, the whole place empties out. You could have had a whole event doing nothing but honoring those responders and those survivors that, put their fellow American ahead of their own health.
Sure. That probably would work. I'm sure they could have figured out something, but just to say no first responders allowed is kind of hurtful to the people that are actually there.
It does. It makes you feel pretty crappy.
Yes, very much so. And there's going to be politicians from all over the world there instead.
Getting their 10-second sound bites.
Instead of the people that are actually, why would a California politician have to be at the 9/11 memorial? It doesn't make sense.
No reason whatsoever except for their own selfish needs.
Which probably is what they're doing. 10 seconds of fame is exactly what it is.
Exactly. Tommy, listen, I want to thank you for everything you did down there. You're a good friend of mine. I was so fortunate to run into you. God bless you and your family. And thank you from all of us at Blue Collar Corner.
Thank you.